I wanted to give you an update on how we're doing this evening. What we generated tonight is $21,150 so far. Our goal for the evening is $25,000. I wanted to talk with you just a little bit about KellyKickingCancer.org. As I mentioned earlier this evening, we are an all-volunteer organization. I want to thank all the volunteers who've made such a wonderful contribution to this and other events that we've had. And I especially want to thank my wife, Susan. Susan is the brains, the beauty, and the drive behind Kelly Kicking Cancer. Just wait. If it wasn't for her, this organization would be made. Thanks, Susan. I love you. Money goes, we have 2 scholarships that we award every year. One's a soccer scholarship to a St. Tammany Parish lady who's going on to play collegiate soccer. The other is a Girl Scout Gold Award for a lady from Louisiana who wins the Girl Scout Gold Award. It's a fairly rare award. Kelly was both, collegiate soccer player and a Girl Scout Gold Award player. Kelly got brain cancer. It was inoperable. The doctors strove mightily to do everything they could for her. She never gave up. But unfortunately, after only a year, because brain cancer is so aggressive, it took her. We formed Kelly Kicking Cancer after that in order to fight back. One of the things that we do is we give money directly to advanced cancer research. And as such, we've hooked up with a group known as the Kenneth Peak Brain Cancer Center in Houston, Texas. These people do phenomenal research as well as surgery, clinical work. It's integrated top to bottom. And the research they're doing is truly Buck Rogers-ish. I want to talk about this because their lead researcher and surgeon, Dr. Baskin, was gracious enough to spend an afternoon with my daughter Danielle and me. You can see some of those interviews on our website. Now, one of the things that we are funding is, he jokingly calls it the Hades Project. Dr. Sachs mentioned nanobots earlier. This project is going to revolutionize oncology. What they have developed is a molecule. This molecule is designed to seek out cancer cells, and only cancer cells. When it finds them, it latches onto it and it injects a chemical that paralyzes the cell's defense mechanisms. Once that happens, it then injects a second chemical that kills the mitochondrial DNA. Now, for those of you biologists, you know this, but for the rest of us, mitochondrial DNA does not repair itself. Once that DNA is damaged, that's it, game over. They're going to bring this particular thing to clinical trial within 12 to 18 months. This promises to actually cure some forms of cancer. It's truly phenomenal work. So these are one of the avenues that we're approaching. It is almost miraculous. It's hard work, it's a lot of research. But I'm going to use that to lead into something else. And that's miracles, and sometimes we don't recognize them when they occur. For many of us, remember a movie from the late 70s called Oh God. This was a movie with George Burns playing God and John Denver playing a very unwitting and hapless sidekick. At the end of the movie, Denver is on trial for slandering a rather pompous minister. And he's defending himself, which of course is a bad idea. But he sits in the courtroom and he says, "That I call as my witness God." There's a stunned silence in the courtroom. And George Burns walks into the back of the courtroom. He's a very comical figure. He's 90 years old at the time. Looks like he's just been out fishing. And the judge says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm God. I was called." And the judge says, "Prove to me you're God. Show me a miracle." So he dodders up to the judge's bench, and he says, "Pick a card, any card." And the judge looks at him incredulously and he says, "That's not a trick." And a deck of cards appears on the judge's bench. Then it disappears, and it appears again. And the judge looks at it astonished. And God says, "That is a miracle. But for me, you want to see the Red Sea open." And I'm afraid that too many of us, and we sincerely ask for and pray for the miracle of the Red Sea opening, and we miss the miracle of the cards. We miss the small things. When Kelly was in hospice, it was very painful for all of us. She was a vibrant, wonderful, active woman. She was completely immobilized by that time. The nurses and doctors had done everything they could. But she couldn't even move anymore. She was asleep 24 hours a day. The hospice nurses took wonderful care of her. They had dressed her in a beautiful new nightgown, combed her hair. She was radiant, but she was lying in bed. Her oncologist came down to visit. Dr. Larned, wonderful woman, had brought her young son with her. He was about 6, maybe 7 years old. They walked into the room. He stood at the base of the bed, stared at her for a second, and said, "Look, Mom, Sleeping Beauty." Sleeping Beauty. And at that moment, that instant, there was an incredible joy in my heart that will live forever. It beat away the pain, the anguish, the hurt that had gone into that moment. And that moment will live with me forever. It's a miracle of the cards. We wanted the Red Sea to open. We wanted Kelly to jump out of that bed, get up and get back on the soccer pitch like she'd done for 21 years before. That wasn't what we got, but we got the miracle of the cards. I've mentioned Dr. Baskin at the Peak Center and the incredible work that he has done developing this nanotechnology as well as other things. And as we sat there and discussed it, and this is on the website, he said, "Do you know how we developed this?" I said, "Please tell me how you did it." He said, "Do you recognize this man?" And he put a picture up on the board. I said, "Yes, that's General Norman Schwarzkopf." And Dr. Baskin said, "He gave me the idea for this nanotechnology. Would you like to know how?" I said, "Oh gosh, yes, I'm intrigued by this." How did General Norman Schwarzkopf give you the idea to develop nanobots? Well, Dr. Baskin, good old Texas boy, but he's not a shooter. He was invited to go to a charity skeet shoot up in Colorado. He kind of protested. He said, "All right, fine, I'll go. It's for veterinarian causes. That's good." So he decided to go anyway. And at the hotel where he was staying for this charity event that he wasn't going to go to, he ran into General Schwarzkopf. And the two of them hit it off. So they sat down and they talked. And Dr. Baskin said, "You are probably the greatest strategist that we've had in the last 50 years. How did you win that war?" And Schwarzkopf said, "We did it with energy." Energy. He said, "I recognized who the enemy was. I took out every defense that he has. I took out his water, I took out his electricity, I took out his power, I took out his bridges, I took out his communications. I disabled it. And then we walked right in and finished the job." And Dr. Baskin said at that moment, that's where he got the idea. He developed a molecule that went in and stopped cancer cells, paralyzed it, took away its defenses, and then it went in and destroys the cancer cell. Chance meeting, meeting of the cards, miracle of the cards. Somebody who came to Colorado, not wanting to go, doesn't shoot, did it anyway, ran into the general, and developed the idea for this revolutionary technology. To me, that's a miracle. We don't recognize it as such, but if it's the miracle of the cards that got him there, it may be the miracle of the Red Sea that opens and opens up oncology for everybody. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Miracles do occur. Sometimes we don't recognize them, sometimes we do. It's a miracle that you're all here, that you're all helping, and with your help we'll continue this fight. Thank you very much.
was looking into darkness for something to hold on. Finding why you were so broken. Felt something was wrong. I think I'm in love, 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 I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Ooh, I'm in love with you. I think I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. Team Kelly thanks you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us at the second annual gala that we put on in October of 2016. Comment below with what your favorite part of the annual gala was. We would love to hear what we definitely need to bring back next year. Please support us by giving a thumbs up on this video, share it with your friends and family, and then subscribe for more videos just like the ones you see on this screen. Thanks again, and God bless.